This is
Human
weird.
interaction.
I know. This is the first time for me, so it's pretty interesting.
Cool. So today I figured we'd try something different and have some human interaction because right now we're in quarantine still. Um, so what I figured we'd do is we'd do kind of a little interview. So Michael, you go by Mike?
Yeah, Mike's fine.
Mike.
My friends
Cool.
call me Mike.
Awesome. Cool. So I have Mike. Mike M is here, and I'm going to let him tell you guys a little bit about himself here in a second. But I thought it would be cool to just hang out and talk about audio and talk about what's going on. And I hope you guys like this episode. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's my intro. Do you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, it should be fun. So typically, the situation that everybody's in right now, both of us would probably be shooting this probably from a studio. But, times are tough right now. And I'm stuck in the confines of my room, so I've had to put like makeshift spotlights up for lighting and stuff like that. But it works. Currently, I live in Ohio. I grew up on the East Coast, and I believe you said you grew up on the East Coast as well.
Yeah.
But pretty much Ohio's been my home for the last 20 plus years, and I owe, as far as like music and stuff, I owe a lot of that to both of my parents because my mom was a big supporter while I was growing up with music, and I pretty much got involved with like the intricacies of it, building stuff. I got that from my dad. So that's kind of where I started, and I started playing clarinet when I was like in first grade, and I was one of those musicians who could just like sight read the music one time, and then I would memorize it. So music to me wasn't really a challenge, and I just remember always sitting like on the floor. And back then, my dad had 8 tracks and reel-to-reel decks back then, and just listening to like Madonna songs and stuff like that. So that pretty much got me started in music. And then high school, everybody did the high school band thing, and I was more kind of just interested in the arts of how the sound was created. So I started dabbling in that for a couple years. I started off with a Tascam 4-track recorder. So if anybody is familiar with those, like you had to commit to something after like the 3rd track and bounce everything down to 1, and so
To add more tracks, right?
did that, and I think that kind of made me a better musician in the long run, because, or not musician, but engineer in the long run, because with digital audio workstations now, you have so much free time to play with stuff, and having to commit, I think, helps everybody become
I've
more
heard
of a
some
better
engineers
one.
talking about how when you limit your options creatively, that can really help move things along and help improve the process. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
That definitely is true. But yeah, so that is pretty much how I got started. I don't really, I've been kind of having some issues. Just life takes over in general, and I haven't really played too much live stuff recently. More so just on the engineering front and traveling and whatnot. Hopefully that helps a little bit. But I'm just kind of jack of all trades right now, I guess you could say.
Cool. And I guess before we really get started, you've been featured in Mix Magazine, right?
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Mix Online.
Correctly.
There was a couple other publications. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but that was through Countrymen. I'm not endorsed by them at all whatsoever. I just really enjoy, number one, the customer service of their company, and there's nothing like the old Motown sound, so that's kind of why I stuck with their product. And I do actually have a comparison, like an A/B comparison of like a cheap DI versus the Type 45 DI. And I mean, you can definitely, if you look at the waveforms, you can actually see the difference in the quality of it. So that's kind of why I stuck with them.
Cool. Yeah, I remember using their microphones a lot when I was doing live sound.
Did you like it?
Yeah, they were good. Yeah. I usually didn't have a lot of control over what microphones we had, but those were usually the better ones, you know, in the places where I worked. Yeah, I like them.
Yep. So I've been using them, and as far as like the engineering side, I mean, their DIs work for recording and for playing out live. So just to touch on the topic of bass real quick. So yeah, DI box, reamp also through that, and you can also reamp. I'm like a huge GK Galen Kruger fan, so I pretty much have. I think I have two 400 RB heads and an 800 RB head. Yeah, I had their off-brand. I forget what it used to be called. But they're old tube amps that had like I think a 5-band graphic EQ and chorus on it. That was the main head that I was using like when we were playing shows and whatnot. But yeah, I pretty much use Galen Kruger heads in the studio.
Nice.
800's kind of overkill, but it still works.
Cool. And you like those?
Love them, love them, love them. I wouldn't, like I told myself my dream rig would be an Ampeg 8x10 cabinet, which I got, and having that in combination with a Galen Kruger head, I mean, that's just a classic sound right in its own, so.
Nice. Do you want to tell us about like your studio and
Yeah, we can
different studios you've been affiliated with? And
as far as the studio, like I said, I would kind of wish I was filming in there instead of being cooped up here, but you know, it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
we're stuck.
My setup is it's a hybrid setup. So what that means is track digitally. So I use Motu IOs. I have a 16A, an 828, and an 8 pre IO that I run. And then when it comes to mix down, I go through a console, 24 channel 8-bus console. So pretty much everything's all analog at that point. So that's kind of my studio setup. Running Pro Tools 12.4, and sometimes I'll go back to 10 if there's only like maybe one or two plugins, which they have not gotten. You know, this is 2020 and we're still running RTAS plugins, so it's like, why? But there's a couple that I still use, so I keep Pro Tools 10 around. But for the most part, Pro Tools 12.4 is my main DAW that I use.
So you'll actually switch in to Pro Tools 10 just to use a plugin?
Yep. I know it sounds crazy, but
dedicated to that plugin, huh?
Yeah.
What plugins are they?
There's a limiter that I absolutely love, and I don't know if the guy I don't know if he went out of business or what, but I think it's the Massey plugins. They have, I guess this is part of the crappy part about using a Windows machine, but they don't have Windows support for it, like 64-bit. So,
yeah. Bummer.
Yep.
Huh. They should get you to like advocate for that plugin.
I've tried reaching out to him a couple times and still no luck. So I was like, oh well.
What's it called? It's a Massey plugin?
It's a Massey plugin, yeah. And he has pretty much all of his plugins on 64-bit platforms right now, but it looks like the majority just support Macintosh. So.
Bummer. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on Mac.
I mean, I like Macs, but I think, you know, people kind of give too much fluff on PCs and whatnot. So I always custom build them for studios.
Cool.
But laptops is like what I'm using now, and those are just as good as desktop computers. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I thought about with this I just got a new computer, and it's a MacBook. Because I kind of just caved and decided to get it. But I thought about having my little brother, he builds computers and stuff, and he went to Worcester Polytechnic, and he's like super into that stuff. So I thought about having him help me build a computer, but then my dot's waking up because I said the word computer. But then I don't know, I just decided to get the laptop now and then maybe build a desktop later. I don't know. It's a tough decision.
Yeah, it pretty much comes down to like, I guess, performance, what you're looking for. I mean, when you look at it, it's just a playback device. So
Yeah.
I think the main thing is probably RAM, I would have to say. But
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So let's see. I'm looking at my notes here. So we talked about how you got into audio. You were saying, I don't know if you said it for this yet, but your dad was an audiophile?
yeah,
Or is an audiophile?
he so my dad passed away in 2018. Rest his soul.
Sorry.
He pretty much had, God, I wish I had a picture because it doesn't do it any justice. A vinyl collection that, I don't know, would probably fill up this back wall. Not a huge collection of 8-tracks because they were starting to, and I'm not that old, but I'm just saying 8-tracks back then, that was the equivalent to a cassette tape. So, but they were phasing those out. So yeah, he had a lot of vinyl.
Nice.
Vinyl kept its, I don't want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Value. The value
Longevity.
of vinyl back then
Yeah.
wasn't like it is today. So pretty much had a bunch of those and cassette tapes and just a bunch of audio equipment. And that's kind of, I got in a lot of trouble messing around with this stuff when I was a kid. Let's just put it that way.
Did you take anything apart or?
I did.
Oh no.
Got in trouble quite a few times over that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. I can't imagine. That's really cool. Yeah, neither of my parents are audiophiles, so that sounds really cool having a parent that was one.
I remember there's one quick stupid story. I don't think he really cared, and I don't think he even found out. But back then they had these, I don't know what you'd call them. It was like a boombox, but it was like for a house basically. And I took a record because I'd seen something on TV, and I tried to emulate or mimic what they were doing, and I ended up, it was a belt drive turntable, and long story short, the actual, like when I pushed on the platter, the actual belt broke the motor. So it seized up, the belt came off, and I was in tears because I didn't want to get in trouble, but...
Oh. But you can't avoid getting in trouble for that.
That one I didn't, so I don't know if he was just
Really?
being nice to me or what. Yeah. So,
Or he knew how to fix it, so it was okay.
yeah. No, it didn't get fixed.
Oh,
I
really?
didn't have enough time to fix that one. So,
Oh, man.
yeah.
Yeah. You do some repair stuff, yeah? Or you used to do repair stuff?
Yeah, my actual degree, first degree, I'm working on my second one actually, but my first one was computer and electronic science.
Awesome.
So that goes all the way back to, like I said, building computers and looking at circuits and understanding how
stuff.
they work and all that stuff. We've talked about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I've just been getting into that because I just did the electronics technician certificate, and now I'm working in a repair shop a couple days a week, which I'm not doing now because of quarantine. But yeah.
I remember it actually came to use one time. I think it was a Avalon mic preamp that my friend's studio had. This was, I don't know, 15 years, something like that ago. But anyway, so he called me over, and it just ended up being, I popped open the preamp stage, and I think it was just a burnt resistor that was causing the whole issue.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
Easy.
Yep, easy fix. So can we ask you a question?
Sure.
Probably the same one. What got you started in audio?
I guess love of music, and then I've always been better at the science side of things, like in school, you know. So I kind of thought that was a good way to combine the two. Yeah, I don't know. So I was in some bands in high school, and I started recording. I like saved up and got a Yamaha. What was it? I have it like right here. AW16G, I think it is. It's like one of those all-in-one. I can actually hold it up, I think. I have it like on the floor under my rack mount, even though I never use it anymore. So it's one of these things.
Oh, okay.
So it's like got a CD drive, you know, and it's
Oh.
like shitty quality. It's like I think it's only 44.1 and I don't know 16-bit or something.
Is that the one that handles what is called zip disks?
No, it's actually like CDs.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I got that. I saved up and got that, and then started recording like my bands and my friends' bands, and it was like a lot of like like shitty high schooler punk rock stuff. Yeah, and then it just went from there. I don't know. I did the music tech major and economics, and for a while I was like, well, maybe I'll use the economics degree, and then I graduated and just didn't. I don't know. Just kept doing music stuff. Well, sound stuff.
You also teach as well, correct?
Yeah, so I teach the audio for film class at a college here in San Diego. So it's called Platt College. So it's just film students. It's like their intro audio class. So I'm just teaching them like the basics, super introductory stuff. But it's fun. I like it.
Yep, that's the key word, fun. As long as you enjoy what you do, that's what counts. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's cool when you get a student that you can see them getting into it, you know, and I don't know, doing way more than they have to do for the class, and it's always cool. Yeah.
It's always a
Making
reward when you
noises.
can make somebody smile. So.
Yeah. Definitely. Let's see. Look at my notes again. So, we kind of talked about what type of gigs you've been getting into. What would you say is like your favorite type of gig, or what type of work have you been gravitating towards?
There's a couple. This kind of leads into another question too, also about freelance work.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I've noticed throughout the forums and whatnot, ask how do you get paying gigs and whatnot. And I think the simple answer to that is you probably have to just make yourself always available just to do free work, do whatever you can. Just free. Put your name out there.
Yeah, build a portfolio at first.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah.
But what I like to do more, I don't know, it's a tough one. I know you do a lot of sound design.
Yeah, a little bit.
My class that I'm taking now does involve a little bit of post audio for TV, so.
Cool.
I don't know. Ask me that question probably in the end of this year, and I might have an answer.
Cool. You're not on any of those, I forget what the websites are called that people post. It's not like, there's like Fiverr and stuff, but then there's the stuff that's like audio specific.
Some of
For
them
getting gigs though, you know?
try to stay away from. I mean, I read, I just don't participate because everybody's got entitled to their own opinion, so I just kind of leave it on the table for them.
For gear sets type of thing? Yeah. Yeah, I don't really participate in those either.
Like,
And I don't know.
I was gonna say Facebook. Okay, if somebody's got an honest question, I'll kind of reach out to them. But some of this stuff is just like, come on now, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to say it in a mean way, but if you're at this level, I think people are going to expect you to kind of perform at that level. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people, I don't know, picking over technical details when it's like, you're both kind of saying the same thing here, so it's okay. I don't know.
And now that everybody's stuck at home, now there's no excuse why they can't find the right answer. So that's how I look
they have
at
the
it.
time to research stuff.
Yep. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen, like, what are your thoughts on how people are adjusting to being stuck at home in terms of finding work and stuff?
Oh gosh, that's another dangerous question. So I've been staying away from the forums on Facebook.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say forums, but the one thing, and I have to be careful how I word this, is that it's kind of sad because I'm seeing people tear each other apart right now, when we're at our like least vulnerable. And I think that's because people, like, this is the first time in the world, not just our country, the world, the entire world is feeling the same amount of pressure. And I don't know, people just seem to be like losing their minds, stipulating over something you have no control over.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not saying I want bad stuff to happen, but
Right.
there's no use of dwindling over what you have no control over. So we just have to be smart and educated. And it's kind of funny you mentioned that, because I was gonna I was getting tired of all the negativity on social media, and I was actually gonna go and like say something like, hey, everybody just needs to kind of chill out and calm down, and just.
What have you seen people fighting over?
It more so just like people that I guess had, bonds together. Now they're clashing heads and, calling each other names and just getting torn apart over this whole situation. And to me,
Like they're competing over the same resources, so now they're.
Yeah, or just, small businesses, for instance. I think, well, every day it's something, there's like 50 million topics going on at once. But now I think a lot of the focus over here is about small businesses and how, I guess, there was a bill passed where small businesses were supposed to get aid and they didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of pissed off people about that right now.
Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, this is the first time in history we've experienced this. And
Yeah.
I'm just like you. I don't know what's going to happen,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, for me, my work has definitely slowed down, but I've kind of just filled in the gaps so far by doing projects that I've been procrastinating forever. And it's like, maybe they're not making me money, but I don't know. It's just slow. It's just slowed down. I guess I should just accept it.
Yeah. One thing to take away from this, it's a good time to educate people. So that's what I'm going to do. I work with Native Instruments, and I'm just about done wrapping up a series on a couple, the MK3. So if people are at home and want to make music, that's a tool that people can use to make music with. So I figured, all this downtime, might as well just finish up videos and whatnot.
Cool. So it's like a series of videos that they're going to post on their website type of thing? Or?
I'm going to have it done. Produce Like a Pro is going to be one outlet. I'm relaunching my site, so I might have them up on there. And then, if they decide they want to use them, I'm making it a separate tutorial, not with Produce Like a Pro, but a separate one on Tractor, because everybody's now getting into like the live streaming and whatnot. And I figured DJing stuff, I might as well jump on board and just do a little set with that and teach people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Yeah. Yeah, the live stream thing is a good way to approach the situation, I think, too. I mean, it might not completely fill in the gaps, but...
Now, if somebody could come up with a cheap piece of hardware, that's not like a couple $1,000s, I would really appreciate that. But
Yep. Yeah. Sound gear is so expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes I talk to my students and they're like, oh, this thing or that thing, but it's so expensive because it's like $200. And I'm like, oh no.
And I look at it too, and then there's like this long, convoluted, like 16 pages. And I'm like, I don't want to have to sit through this. I know it's kind of contradicting for what I'm saying, like audio engineers having to do a million things at once, but I don't know. That I don't have the attention span to have to sit through like 10 pages just to stream something. So.
Oh yeah, like the instruction manual for something.
Yeah. I just want to plug it in and fiddle 2 seconds. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, it's like for this, I've never done an episode like this where I just, screen capture with somebody, but my audio and the screen captures
Yeah.
got this delay going, and I was like, F it, let's just record our audio in Pro Tools and do it later, like sync it up later. So I get that attitude. It's like sometimes you have the patience to go through all the detailed stuff and figure out how to do it properly, and then sometimes it's nope.
Yep.
Cool. So I like how I had all these thoughts and notes, and then I just
Oh, I think
disregard them.
I know we covered a pretty good chunk of it.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about like why you use Pro Tools and some plugins that you like?
Let's see. So I think so when I got off of got out of the analog domain and first messed around in digital, was what was the program? Cool Edit Pro is what it was.
Oh my gosh, I used that in college. I used that in college, and last year I think I realized that it was still on my resume, and it's become what, Adobe Audition now. And I was like, oh, that is bad to have on my resume. Like, I should not have that listed still. It's been way too long. Yeah. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
That was a good one because that got me. I guess. I mean, it was a DAW essentially. Now it was limited to how many tracks you could play back, but it was still a DAW nonetheless. And I think at that time I didn't even know what like unbalanced and balanced mean. So I was just taking like my Boss BR8, and I would just take the outputs of that, go directly into the sound card, and like the gain staging was all screwed up, and the guitar.
no.
I was just playing guitar and stuff, and
Yeah.
they sound decent, but getting off topic here. But yeah, Cool Edit Pro is what I started with.
Nice.
Had to learn gain staging the hard way. Dabbled in FL Studio for many, many, many years.
Oh, nice.
And what else? Yeah, I think 2009 is when I actually fully started committing to Pro Tools. It wasn't an HD system. It was just, I think, M-powered.
Yep.
But
That was back when you had to actually have like the M box, right, and plug it in to actually authorize Pro Tools.
That was right after, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right after.
Yeah, because I remember that, and that was such a pain. I was like, why can't I just use Pro Tools without the interface when I'm, mixing something? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think that. Yeah, because 8 HD was the last HD version, I think. I don't remember, but yeah, Pro Tools 9MP was one you can just buy, and you had to buy an iLok separately with it. But
Yep. Yeah, I had 8 LE in college.
did you
I
have
used
the
that.
M box as well?
Yes, I did. Yeah. And I had one of those like desktop Macs, where it's like all in the screen. It's just
Oh, okay. Yep.
one of those like chunky. Yeah. But my family's like all Windows, so that was the first time I ever had a Mac, and I was like, ooh, I have a Mac now. I'm so fancy. But I don't know.
Yeah, I like Pro Tools. I mean, everybody has their own preferences and whatnot, and
Yeah.
again, it's just since I work in a hybrid fashion anyway, it's just technically the playback portion of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get the criticism of it. It's like it took them forever to get the faster than real time bounce and like some other stuff, I get that, but it's like I'm just now starting to build up a home studio. I mean, I've always been building it, but it takes forever. And so it's like when you're going back and forth between different studios in town and working there, it's like you have to know Pro Tools because that's what they all have. So that's kind of my, I don't know, reasoning for Pro Tools. It's like, well, because I have to. I don't know.
I mean, everybody's using it, and it is an industry standard, as they say. So. Oh, I have to thank you too for the. It's a special tea you had recommended.
Oh, throat coat?
Yes, and I cannot
Yeah,
find
throat
it.
coat.
But that stuff is gold. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, it doesn't taste good, but
No, but it works.
it works. Yeah, so good. Let's see. Looking at my questions again. So how do you preserve your work-life balance? something I struggle with because I always I'll try to accept every single gig, and then I end up working too much all of a sudden and
Oh man,
can't breathe.
that's a tough one. I guess I don't have a life other than music. I know that sounds crappy, but
It's like, how do you deal with work-life balance? Well, I just don't have a life.
no, I mean, that is really a tough question, really. Because,
Yeah.
I don't know, music is like, well, anything audio related is pretty much what I do, so
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough question to answer. It really is tough. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, that's fair. I think as an industry, a lot of us don't handle that well, I think, or don't know how to handle that well. I know at NAMM, like a few of the talks that I went to, the speakers made a point of talking about mental health and mentioning resources. And I think it's because we are bad at that.
So we will be the first ones to be driven crazy, probably.
Yep. Yep. Or not, because like we can just make music at home and, I don't know, stave it off maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with the latter of what you just said. So that sounds like a better option. Hopefully.
Let's be optimistic. See what happens.
Yep, fingers crossed.
Yeah. I might start making my own music in all this.
Thought about that too.
I haven't done it in a long time.
I wanted to do a couple of cover songs actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been saying that though.
Yeah, me too. I like all these projects that I've been doing with this time. It's like one of the things was building a hairball audio compressor, and I just did that, and I actually videoed it. So I'll probably have like an episode where it's like a time lapse of me building that or something.
Cool.
But I got it last year for my birthday, and my birthday's in April, and I just now finished it. So it's like. I don't know. I'm really good at procrastinating these things that aren't like, that and like, oh, I should start making my own music again soon. And I don't know. It's too easy to procrastinate.
Yeah, and I'm finally to the point. So this year's just been crappy with back surgeries and all that crap. But finally, I can actually see the door to where my mix room is, which is exciting because I can finally start getting all that stuff set up. But the basement...
Because you just moved your studio, right?
We have a bigger space now. But I have... Yeah. So everything is like in the live room. I still have to waterproof it, get the acoustic treatment put up, all that. Mm-hmm. So... I can't overdo it, unfortunately. So that's why it's taking forever. But once I get that done, then I can turn my room back into a bedroom instead of wall to wall filled with audio stuff. Yeah. You can see right there, monitors hanging up. Nice. Yep.
Yeah, I banished all my stuff up to the loft area of my apartment. So I'm up above the rest of my apartment right now.
Is that
it's been working pretty well.
Paneling you have behind you?
Yeah, it's the how do you say it? GIK, GIK acoustics. It's like their standing bass trap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I have an attack wall in front of me with my speakers and stuff. Yeah.
You'll have to do a studio tour. Did you do that before?
I thought about doing it, but the space up here is so small that it's like just getting the camera angles seems almost impossible. And I'm not a visual person. I don't know how to film stuff. That's probably really obvious if you look at my YouTube channel. But yeah, I've thought about it, but it's like, it's so cramped up here. Like I have plenty of room behind me, but that's because there's a drop, I can't walk past here because there's like, you can see the railing. Where is it? Right there.
Yep.
The railing. It's like I could touch it. It's right behind me. So my husband has his desk on this side, and then the stairwell is on this side. It's like a spiral staircase. And to get to his desk, when I'm sitting here, he can't fit. Like we have to do this thing where I'm like, oh, up against my desk, and then he's like, it's
So it's like that one commercial where like the couple, they wake up and they're like literally crammed in a little box. I don't want to compare it to that, but that's what I picture in my head.
yeah. I haven't seen that commercial, but it sounds like it. Yeah, it's pretty much.
Ready, and then like his office, the shower turns into his office, and the bed turns into her office. It's pretty funny.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, and the whole place is pretty small. It's like 900 square feet, but I don't know. We don't mind it.
Yeah.
It works. It could be better in terms of acoustics in here, but that's why I, got all this stuff. I love the attack wall. The attack wall made a huge difference. So,
Yeah, I've got like no treatment up in here either, but
yeah.
I wasn't planning on keeping it
Yeah.
anyway, so I cannot wait to get myself back to normal.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've kind of tried to pick things that I could move to a new place easily too, and it would still kind of work. So that's like the logic behind like the freestanding stuff, like the attack wall and the standing bass traps and stuff.
That was the one thing I lost sleep literally like for a week because I was trying to figure out. So I custom built my studio, and I built the room around my equipment. So once everything was in place, then, I didn't think I was going to move. So when moving came, I had to figure out how was I going to get the console and the console desk out. And because I remember...
Like physically? Through the door?
Well,
or
I did the math, and I knew it wasn't going to go in without me completely like taking it apart. And
no.
I didn't have the space for that at all. And I started to panic. Like, what
What
am I
console
gonna do?
was it?
It was an Argosy. Argosy 24 something is what it was. I forget. So it holds a 24/8 bus mixer in that. And then it's got, I don't know, like a 4U rack up top, and then just desk space. So the whole thing is probably, I don't know, close to 9 feet, maybe 8 feet wide.
Wow.
And
yeah, that wouldn't fit up here.
I knew it was not gonna go through the front door, and I was just like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" And
what a bummer.
the movers. Well, I figured out finally how I could take it apart, but yeah, I thought I was gonna have to like take the window out, but no, they got it for me.
Those Argosy desks look so good, though.
Yeah, that's why I love it. I'll never get rid of that one.
Yeah.
Never.
I'll get one of those one day. Those are cool. I just have like a little wooden desk. I think it's a hand-me-down, actually.
Do you have a lot of analog stuff?
No. I do a lot, like when I'm mixing, it's a lot of in-the-box stuff. I have some fun toys. Like I have a theremin that I got last year for my birthday, too. I don't know. It's just like preamps and stuff. And now I have the Hairball audio compressor. So, moving on up. But no, I've kind of taken the approach of, trying to focus. I know it's like when you spend your money, where's the most efficient place to spend it? And I've kind of recently, at least, arrived at the acoustic treatment. It's probably the best.
That's a good question too. Like, that's another good topic that's widely debated. Like, where do you spend your money on your preamps? Do you spend your money on monitors?
Right.
Yeah, that's a very good topic for debate.
Yeah, and I've looked at outboard gear and been like, oh, I'd love to have this or whatever, but it's like, in this space, it might make more sense to work on my acoustics first. And then work on that stuff.
I think I have a ton of analog stuff, but I think I pretty much poured my money into, I think, my mics. God, I've got.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're not cheap mics, but they're not. They're not cheap, but they're. What am I trying to say? They're not expensive, but they're not cheap. That's what it is. And I put a good portion of my money there, just capturing, getting the right source, not perfect, but capturing what
Good.
you want to capture accurately, I guess is the
Yeah.
better term.
Yeah. Well, that's important because like a shitty mic's gonna, I don't know. Yeah. 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 I have some mics. I kind of stopped building my mic cabinet in favor of the acoustics because I'm like, I don't really have a recording space here yet. Like, I don't know. I had this temporary thing that I'll build sometimes, but I don't really have a recording space. So I'm like, most of the time, if I'm actually working here and not in a studio, it's going to be like mixing or sound design stuff. So then it's like, I should focus on the things that are related to that, I guess. I don't know. It's my thought, but yeah. I like worked all through college and I spent a lot of money on microphones in college, but it's like the last mics I got were a while ago.
Yeah, same here. And it was becoming to the point where I was just getting them. It was becoming an obsession almost. Like I didn't necessarily need it, but I'm like, I might need this one day, so let me just have it just in case.
The collection.
Yeah, because I know you're a big fan of Sylvia Massey, and she experiments a lot and does some like crazy cool stuff.
Yeah, she does.
I was thinking of like, what would it be like if I actually tried this? And I haven't gone to the extent that she has, but I've, on accident, like I've blown a window out once.
How'd that happen?
It was the bass amp. I don't want to say blow it out, but cracked the window.
Oh, man.
It still sounded good, but it was just too much volume, I think.
That's impressive.
Well, keeping an 8x10 cabinet in like a small, confined structure that isn't integrally built as you thought, found out the hard way.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, that goes on to another topic too, and I think I'm gonna actually film this. As far as like wiring and stuff goes, as far as the IOs go, I'm going to switch all that stuff over to Ethernet, which, I mean, it works just as good. You just have to make sure you have the right shielding. But half of my studio where I used to live, I was experimenting a lot with like Cat5 and telephone wire and stuff like that. And the good thing about Ethernet is you can have longer cable span runs. Cat 5 and Cat 6 right now, I think you can go up to like 300 feet, which is more than enough for what I need here. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know a lot about that. I know we used a lot of like Cat 5 for live stuff, and I guess it was for that kind of purpose to run longer runs without the signal degrading.
yeah, that's something I'm like huge into. I have, well, one more test. I've got, it's called Dante certification, which is like a protocol, which Motu, they have AVB, but it's not patented, I guess, or not used as like a standard protocol. But they have the AVB network, which runs over Ethernet, and that's eventually where I'm slowly going to be migrating to, getting all my stuff on Ethernet, because that's
cool.
the future. So, but that's going to be the future of like live sound and everything, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. You said you're gonna make videos about it, about how you.
Yeah, and again, not because I'm endorsed by Motu, but I just, for what I was looking for and their setup, I mean, it's not for like the faint-hearted at all. So, you know, some people might want to have like a little heads up when they go into it, which is why I'm gonna make those videos for that. But yeah, it's pretty detailed stuff. Motu's hardware.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I would definitely want a heads up if I was going to try to do something like that. So I'm sure those videos will be really appreciated. What about in terms of people that are just starting out? Do you think like there are areas that audio people need to focus on more or less? And like what kind of mistakes do you see beginners making?
I think probably a good understanding would probably be in maybe just the basics of audio engineering. Like if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna start working with like DAWs and whatnot, I think a good place to start is learning about like sine waves and cycles and things of that sort. I think just having that basic knowledge will help you make better decisions like in the end of a project personally.
Yeah, I think so too. I teach that stuff to my students, like how sample rate affects the sound and bit depth and, all that stuff, amplitude and, and a lot of times their eyes kind of glaze over when I'm doing that lecture. And I'm like, guys, I know this is going to be one of the tougher lectures for this class, but and it doesn't seem like it's super relevant, but I think it's important. So I don't know.
And I'll probably get hate for this comment, but that's one of the things that I see in a lot of the forums. People are, they're talking about, oh, I'm recording it in 192K. Okay, well, you're recording it that, but can you explain, like, why you chose to? Like, do you understand the principle behind it? Like, it's taking 192 snapshots, wherever. Like, do you understand that? And I think a lot of people, no, not people, but a lot of new and upcoming engineers don't have that knowledge to understand that. They just kind of jump in and I
want the highest quality.
Yeah 192 is going to give me a better quality. Okay, but do you understand why? That's just my 2 cents on it, I guess.
Or like when people make that decision and then their computer can't handle it, and it's like, well, do you really know the difference in the sound between like 192 and 96? Because
you're trying to run that on 4 gigs of RAM. Work too well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. So yeah. And let's see, there was another question you had on here. Converting over to Thunderbolt in USB-C. So
yeah,
it's a very good question. So this is why I think this is a game changer.
So this is something you're doing, just to give people the background, right? We were talking about this, like we text and we chat and stuff. You were saying that you're currently you're switching over from what was it?
Yeah, so I'm on a dock. That was another separate video we could talk about for hours. But I'm using a docking station, and there's also, you can buy little USB ones too. Not USB, but USB-C. Which is the equivalent to a Thunderbolt connection or USB-C. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but essentially that's going to give you the same performance as like an Pro Tools HD system. So the computer that I'm in the process of building, it's going to be Thunderbolt USB-C connectivity from my computer to my I/O. And that pretty much should last me until I die, basically. So
nice.
But yeah, docking stations is kind of a cool thing because you can get them in a small form factor, or bigger form factor, and it just gives you the chance, like if you're using a laptop, for instance, and you want to expand to get some more high-speed connectivity, well, you can just use a USB-C hub, plug that in, and then you have right there a monitor extension and then 2 more USB-C or 3.0 ports and whatnot. And they just offer a lot of expandability and speed for a lot of what today's I/Os are coming out to be. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I have a USB hub here. Let me see if I can do this without fucking up everything. I don't know if this is exactly part of what you're talking about, but I have like this guy here. And
that's the one that I run in my studio too.
Oh, really? Cool. Yeah, so I have this going into my MacBook, which is a new MacBook, right? So it's got that. I just dropped something, but yeah, that allows me, I like how that allows me to hook up like another mouse. I can hook up, I have another monitor that I use here. I have like my Apollo, which is then run to my satellite, but that's plugged straight into the computer. I don't know.
It
I could
just
probably use it
works.
more and better than I am, but yeah. Right now I don't have, I have a lot of my stuff is unplugged here, but yeah. I don't know if that was relevant that I just said that.
I think everybody, I know a lot of people wonder how, people's connectivity or whatnot goes, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you say you're in the box,
Setups.
but yeah, I don't know how many ports a Mac has. I know my laptops only have like 2 USB ports.
Yeah. Mine has 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4. It's like a new MacBook Pro. Yeah. And I think it's USB-C, right? It's a tiny.
Well, Mac calls them. I don't see. That's the thing. I don't know a whole lot
Yeah.
about Mac terminology. I think they call it USB-C instead of Thunderbolt.
Yeah, I think they switched over, but you can get, I don't know, it's the same connection. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'd experimented. Oh God, like $500 later. Experimented. I first started out. I went to an Apple store and got USB-C to Thunderbolt connector. I thought it was going to work, but Windows 10 didn't support it, and it was just a big pain in the butt. So that's
Yeah, it's like you can get the adapters and they can look like they're right, but they don't always work. You have to get
Nope.
the right one.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's like this where is it? This type, right?
That's what Mac calls now the USB, or that's the Thunderbolt connection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like the same thing as a USB-C.
USB-C.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so the things you get to learn.
Yeah. I mean that might be a debate. I don't know. Windows
Yeah.
calls it one thing and Mac calls it a different, but I think it does the same thing essentially.
That's pretty similar. I've heard from some people though that like with one of these, if you plug it in, depending on the function, like sometimes which way you plug it in can change. So if it's this way versus that way, it can either not work or work. And I'm like, but it's symmetrical. So like, how do you know? Yeah. And someone mentioned that to me the other day, and I was like, no, why? Like, I don't know. And then I had my MacBook, this new MacBook on my desk, and then I put my old one on top of it because I was doing something like transferring files or something, and the screen just went black. And I was like, why? And then my husband was like, oh yeah, because you put the one on top of the other. That's what happens. And I was like, no, that should not be a thing. Why is that a thing? Do you know why that's a thing? I don't know why that's a thing. That's bad. So,
Wow.
I don't know.
Computers are crazy. I don't
Isn't
know.
that weird? It's like, is it not shielded properly? Like, why is that? And why would, anyway.
I
it's
leave
not
my
audio
laptop
related.
stacked all the time, and wow, that's weird.
Yeah?
That's weird.
Well, yeah, but you're not in crazy, stupid Mac world, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is-
goodness.
Yeah.
Let's,
Sorry, that's like not even audio related necessarily, but
That's so funny, though. That's something for Mac users to not do in the future.
yeah.
Don't stack
Yeah.
your laptops.
Boggles my mind that that's a thing and they haven't fixed that.
And I
I
probably
don't know. They probably won't, because who's doing that? Who's stacking MacBooks?
you, I guess.
Just me. The only one dumb enough to do it. Cool. So, sorry, clear my throat. So I know you mentioned that you are also really into MIDI. So I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. So MIDI is like a language that people don't. I don't want to say people. I need to stop saying that. MIDI is a language that is kind of confusing to some folks, and when they see it, I think they get the automatic assumption of like, if I just plug A into B, it's going to play automatically. Well, technically, yeah, it will. But MIDI is a protocol, and it's a language that allows.
I mean, it's just performance data, right? I think that's what people don't tend to get is that it's not actually
It's not a
holding the
sound.
audio. Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
sound. It's when you're looking at an audio snippet, say in Pro Tools, it's just the representation for the device, the hardware, whatever, to read. So people get that confused a lot. Like, oh, is this box generating sound? Well, no, it's not.
Right.
Let me grab one of these. So if I wanted to incorporate, this is like a 2x2 MIDI box. So for somebody, if they had, I don't know, 2 pieces of gear or whatever, and they didn't have enough USB ports or whatever the case may be, you know, you could just plug this in. Or if the hardware didn't have USB, it just had the 5-pin DIN connectors, they would just plug this into their laptop, and they would have 16 times 2. Why am I drawing a blank?
32?
30, yes, thank you. 32 channels of MIDI.
I used to be good at math. I was like, huh, was that right?
Yeah, I had to think about that, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it gives them 32 channels of MIDI, and I don't know, MIDI is just kind of a cool thing because I have a Motu MIDI Express, and I think it's 8x8 or something like that. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty much almost filled. But it's just cool because you can audition new sounds or score something or whatever the case is. And like I had my own little MIDI world in my studio, so it was nice.
So you're using a lot of like actually physical MIDI,
Hardware devices.
like a keyboard, yeah, like the hardware, right?
Yeah. Now I use also MIDI not just to like trigger sounds or whatever, but they can also work for. I have an Elisa's like Deverb box, and you can send MIDI control messages to the box to like tell how much attack time it wants, or
that's cool.
the reverb to come on at this part or whatever like that. So yeah.
So you're essentially automating.
Basically, yep.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know you could do that. I've seen the thing where like people will take like a printer and have them put like tinfoil. Have you seen this? Where they put tinfoil on a piece of paper and then they have it run through the printer, and then the printer has when it makes the connection with the tinfoil, it's like just the electrical connection that triggers a MIDI trigger.
Really?
Right, and then they could run that to a computer and have it. It's essentially like a player piano type of thing when you run the paper through. I've seen stuff like that. That stuff's so cool. But I've never heard of anyone like automating another piece of hardware with MIDI.
Yeah. I've got
cool.
Actually 3 pieces of gear that I can think of right now, like an auto-tune box, reverb, and a multi-effects processor, and all those can receive, you know, like on-off messages or whatnot. So
that's awesome.
So
you should do a video on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it's just binary language at its simplest form. It's either on or it's off. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, I love it.
I had another thought about that. I don't remember. I don't know. That's really cool. Now it's bugging me what I was thinking of a second ago, and I can't remember.
Was it a MIDI related or?
Probably. Who knows? It's gone. It's like not in my head anymore.
It'll hit you at like 5 o'clock the next morning. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a question too. So now I'm like, oh, I'm not going to know the answer now. I guess I can always message you though.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's one. So, and I know it's way too early to tell. Do you think they're going to have a NAMM, like a summer NAMM or winter NAMM for next year?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say winter NAMM are good odds.
I hope.
But I don't know about summer at this point. It seems like a lot of places are going to be locked down. And I think once they stop having everyone on lockdown, it's like maybe not go back to 100% hangout sessions, you know? So I think even if like the cities and states aren't saying to be in lockdown anymore, a lot of big events might still not happen. I don't know.
Oh, scary thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I was looking at the website, and I know as of now they're still taking like booths and whatnot. So
oh wow,
that's a good thing. knock on wood.
Yeah.
Hopefully it stays.
For the winter one or the summer one?
Winter one. Summer, I think,
Okay.
is canceled.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because you got people from all over the world literally attending.
Yeah. That's chaos.
I think some cool information that we could probably, if this gets traction, is just kind of keeping people up to date on what's going on in the music world, because I think a lot of people want to know but are kind of afraid to ask. I don't know.
For like events and stuff?
Yeah, and from what I've noticed, just people kind of just been like tiptoeing over it and stuff, and there's
I think there's some attitude too of it's just easier not to think about it too hard. I've done some of that for sure.
yeah, ditto.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember thinking about that though after this year's NAMM. I was like leaving and they were talking about, because it was like the news of coronavirus was out then, and I was like, oh, I wonder how many people just got it from NAMM,
Oh man.
I remember thinking about that, and it feels like forever ago now.
Yeah, it was just.
It wasn't that long ago.
My cat wants it. Hold on. Come on.
Just hear him meow.
Yep.
Cute.
Spoiled one.
Gotta spoil him.
Yep, I had since he was a baby, so
Aw.
I'm pretty much his father. for all
Aw, look
intents
at
and
him.
purposes. Yeah, I have him. He's on
So
the business,
cute.
one of my business cards.
Oh yeah, nice. I should do that with my bunny.
Yeah, yes, you should. Publicity for him.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. She woke me up in the middle of the night last night, actually. She like climbed on top of me and woke me up, and then I couldn't sleep for like 2 hours. Then I woke up with like a headache and
Really? So she just roams around?
yeah, she's free roam. So she has a hutch in our room, like kind of next to my bed, but the door's always open. So like at first, what I did is I just had her on the bottom floor of the hutch with the litter box and stuff, and that was her space. And then after like a day or so of her being good there, I opened up the top floor. And then it's kind of like with cats, I think, from what I've heard, you like slowly open up the space and make it bigger and bigger until they're like fine in the whole house. So yeah, but she doesn't like bunnies don't like walking on hardwood floors a lot. So she pretty much stays in the living room area by the sofa because there's a rug there, and then in the bedroom because there's carpet. So, but yeah, she uses a litter box. She marches around. She owns the place.
Wow, a trained bunny.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, she does agility and stuff too. She's pretty cool. I'm a fan. I'm a little biased, but I'm a fan. Should we end the screen capture, you think? Is there anything else you want to talk about audio-wise? I think we went through the list of questions, yeah?
I think this is off to a good start now. I think we should
Cool.
go with this and just see how it goes.
Cool. Sweet. Well, do you want to like shout out any social media or website or anything? We can put links in the description for you.
Let's do that, because I plan on at least having my website back up by this weekend. So if anybody has any questions or wants to take a look, my website is fmpmusic.rocks. And you can also check out the Countryman website, Motu, and Native Instruments. And that's it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you. And we definitely will have to do this again, because this will be a very interesting year. We'll see.
Yeah, that's for sure. Cool. So I guess I'll do my outro. So thanks for hanging out, guys. As usual, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/CatoNoise. And I come out with new videos every Wednesday. And thanks for hanging out. Okay.
Yes, how is your bunny doing, by the way?
She's good. She's loving the attention. Yeah. She's very like hot and cold though. Like when we got her, she's like a problem bunny, you know. So she grunts at people a lot, and she would box at people, which is where they like, you know.
Oh yeah.
Which isn't that scary when it's a 2-pound rabbit, but she thinks she's really tough doing sign language, bunny sign languages. Food.
That's funny. You can always do
Cool.
it after the fact if you want. It's not a big deal.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But I mean, I actually put on makeup, and I don't think I'm going to do that for another month. So